Welcome back to Beer Brackets, everybody, and welcome back to Beer Brackets VS Battles. The VS Battles that only we can do to this epic level of ferocity, of competition. It's only Alessandro and I that can really do these proper. And today we have two epic beers, my friend. Look at this, dude. Look at these beers that we have that we're putting against each other today. Big brand pilsners that everybody can get. If you live in North America, if you live in Europe, I'm sure if you live in South America as well, if you go to your local grocery store, wherever you do procure your beers, I'm sure you can find both of these beautiful beers. We are doing the most, I say this every time, but it's definitely the most epic VS battle that we've ever done, buddy. Modelo Especial versus Stella Artois. Which one do we think is better? So up front, any predictions?
This is a tough one, man. I was thinking about it leading up here to today, but I think, as always, I'm going to just lead it to fate and to the...
Leave it to fate.
Leave
it to beer fate.
Beer fate, but also to being in the moment, because I think that's an important and key component that we are very good at. Get into that, meditative state and figure out where to go.
It's been a little while since we've done our beer meditation.
That's so true.
We got to pour out the beers before we do the beer meditation. Let's crack these beers open, buddy. Let's get this VS battle started.
Let's do it.
Right off the bat, when you crack one of these Modelos open in the bottle, just so much skunkiness on the aroma right away.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
As you can see, I have a small can of Stella.
I love it. That can's bigger than your mic.
Because it is.
Is that a gas station can?
Yeah. It
is, right?
So
that looks like a gas station can.
At this point, I think we've filmed any kind of pour shot you can possibly imagine about the Stella and the iteration. So I was like, you know what? For this epic battle, I'm going to go with the juggernaut of the Stella Artois. I'm going to get the can, which was, if I'm not mistaken, the one that we have picked in our VS. So
that's right. It's a family-sized Stella.
Yes, exactly.
Cheers, my friend. Aroma cheers.
Aroma cheers.
As always with our VS battles, we're going to go over all our 5 review elements. So aroma, taste, mouthfeel, finish, overall beer experience. Assign points for each one, and whoever comes out with the highest score on 10 at the end is the winner. So, buddy, which aroma do you prefer?
Ooh. Like you said, that skunkiness, it's intense.
It's all skunk.
One thing I would say, the Stella has this very nice light breadiness to the aroma. Still nice on the hop presence. Mm-hmm. I think the Modelo is a little bit more biscuity to me, almost like baked.
That's right.
A biscuit is a good descriptor, I think, at least for me.
It's a very good descriptor.
Yeah, tough one here, man. I think strictly based on the aroma, I'm going to prefer Stella. I like that edge that it has with the hops, a little bit more present.
I'm definitely going to give a point to Stella, too, to start off with here. It's nice and bready and hoppy, whereas the Modelo, out of the bottle at least, it's just very skunky. I understand that's a format issue when we're talking can versus bottle. All the other characteristics are hidden behind the skunkiness a little bit. There's a little bit of the malt there and a little bit of hops, but the Stella is just a little bit more inviting in that sense. So definitely 2-0, my friend, for the Stella. The Stella's taken a big head start here, but now we get to the taste. One of the best parts. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Let's see what we think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
All right.
I see where this is going.
There's quite a few things going on. Stella is definitely more clean and sharp. More of that crisp hoppy presence on the Stella for me.
Yeah.
Modelo is a little bit more rich, bready. It lingers more in the realm of the breadiness to me. Between the two. That's a tough one.
Caught on my beer wires.
You know what? I think I'm going to go with Modelo, my friend. I kind of like that edge that it has, that deep flavors.
Oh, yeah.
It brings in a different dimension to the game here, I think.
It does, right?
Yeah.
100%. It does. I'm going Modelo as well, man. We're tied at 2. It's it's a little breadier, a little maltier, a little hoppier. Again, we're talking 2 pilsners here, so the flavor profiles two like, big brand pilsners. So you're not getting anything too outside the box with these two. They both do it really, really well. The Modelo just has a bit of a stronger flavor. I think that's the baseline elements of what you're getting aside, take the skunkiness out of it, are very similar. Just Modelo, it's a little bit more present, a little bit more savory, a little bit more tasty. So we're tied at 2, buddy. But now, mouthfeel. If you haven't watched a Beer Brackets episode before, then you don't know, but we have a Beer Bracket tradition here that we've been doing every week for years and eons,
For a long
beer
time.
eons. We've been, every time it comes time to talk about the mouthfeel, we pour a little bit more beer into the glass to refresh the mouthfeels, to get an accurate beer reading. So here we go. Look at that. It's like beautiful beer waterfalls, my friend.
That's a good way of describing it. I like it.
It's Niagara beer falls, just flowing into the glasses.
Listen
A
to
cacophony, a symphony of
Listen
beers.
to the beer speak.
Oh, you must. You must listen to the beers. We still need to add that category.
We definitely need to.
Visual category, sound, maybe feeling, how the beers make us feel.
I think that is captured a little bit by the the overall when we talk about the intangibles, like the feeling, but it would be fun to extrapolate it and have its own category.
How they physically make us feel.
I didn't think about that. Like, that's a good idea.
Do you have to visit the beer toilet immediately after?
That's a good point, man. We should.
Okay. All right.
So
I must say, my friend, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Please.
this is very pertinent beer information. Before we move forward with our scoring, have you heard that Modelo has now surpassed Bud Light as the #1 selling beer in the U.S.?
I have, my friend. That's quite an impressive achievement.
That's pretty amazing, right? That's pretty amazing. Modelo, who would have thought? An import being the #1 selling beer in your great country. But there I must say, we're dealing with quite the beer juggernaut. So we like throwing that word around, but they're quite a force, a powerful force.
It's. I think we've got to tread lightly here on this territory and try to be as accurate beer barometers as we can be.
I'm happy for them, though. I'm happy that the #1 selling beer is actually like a good beer with some taste and some character to it.
I agree.
I'm happy about that.
No, I agree. I think more than anything, it's surprising to me that it switched from a light beer to a non-light beer.
Yeah.
I think that's even more. Obviously, I'm happy. I've always been
from a light beer to a pilsner. Yeah.
Exactly. We've always been like big fans of Modelo Especial, but it was interesting to me to see that the switch went in that direction. Like, that's good.
I agree.
So going back to us and the mouthfeel, the main difference that I get from the two is that the Stella, specifically in the can version, tends to be a little bit more carbonated, and you can't quite see it now, but it was quite clear at first, like when I poured it on, at least on my glass. But it's definitely reflected on the mouthfeel. The Modelo, though, is like quite surprising. It does have a very lively carbonation. I will say, though, that as it fades, like it tends to leave a little bit more of oily stickiness, as we like to say here at Beer Brackets, compared to the Stella. So I think for the mouthfeel category, Stella wins the point for me. What do you think, my friend?
Oh, really? Okay, so 3-2 for Stella. Stella definitely has a very refreshing, crisp mouthfeel from the high levels of carbonation, from the crisp hop aspect that's there on it. The Modelo, like you just said, a little bit of that oiliness that's present on it. It coats your palate a little bit more than the crisp, refreshing Stella Artois. I'm actually going to go with Modelo on this one. I'm going to give them the point because I actually really do, that sort of like stickiness or oiliness that we talk about, it can be a negative with some beers. I've always really enjoyed it with Modelo. I think it just sort of acts as like a carrier of the character of the beer and the taste and makes it stick around a little while in a really good way. There's enough carbonation there. It's sharp, it's refreshing, but still got some character, some body to it. It's unique. I find when you take a sip of a Modelo Especial, just by the mouthfeel, it's a Modelo Especial. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. I feel that way. Now we come to our second last category, finish. Which one has the better finish? What do you think?
This is always a tough one for me. I feel like the finish is where there's a lot of different things to consider. Stella has like a very refreshing, like you mentioned, that crisp, clean, without being too boring, because like it really invites you back in the glass. It has this very nice, like clean hop finish and doesn't linger too much. Modelo sticks around a little bit more. It's a little bit more luscious. Like it has these like nice characters that you described in described in the mouthfeel. It's a tough one. I think I'm gonna stick with Stella, my friend. I think that edge that it has like makes it a little bit more drinkable. But I will also add one thing. I do think that as a standalone beer like we're doing right now, there's one thing that with Modelo specifically would bring the beer to a next level, which is when you pair Modelo with food. I think Modelo pairs exceptionally well with food.
Yeah.
So I think that in that sense, if I was eating something right now, like I would probably go Modelo. So I just wanted to point that out because it's a big and important factors to consider when like we were just like here comparing them in a vacuum in a sense.
It's a good point, buddy. It's a good point. This is tough because, at least for me, the finish on Modelo is just malty, and the finish on Stella is hoppy.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you take? It's hard. I feel like I'm deciding, between two really important beer elements.
Man. Yeah, those are the essence of the beer elements, man. Like
it's the essence of right. I mean, you put malt and hops against each other. Who's going to come out on top? It's tough in this moment. Experiencing these two beers simultaneously, which one am I preferring as a finish, or which one do I think is probably superior? I'm going to have to go with the Modelo, my friend. I think just that balance of hop and malt. I'm a malt fan, so just having that extra little caramelized sort of character to it on the finish is, and also the refreshing sort of kick of hop on there too. So my friend, we're tied at 4 through 4 categories here. I've leaned a little bit more Modelo. You've leaned a little bit more Stella. So now you know what? Whenever we come to a tie at the end of a VS battle, it's always been a little bit more mixed than it has been. Like you and I are both it seems like we're on different camps here. So I don't know what's going to happen. We've never had a tie.
This is interesting.
Is it going to happen now? I don't know. As an overall beer experience from beginning to end, which beer do you prefer?
So you know what? Like let me take another sip here because like this demands attention, a lot of attention.
As we've talked about, the pressure always falls on your shoulder here because you go first. And when there's a tie, you sway that beer boat in one direction or the other. So it's a big point allocation here.
Okay. Doing a little bit of beer meditation and then thinking about
I'm on the edge of my seat right now. I can't
all
wait
of
to
the
hear what you say
elements.
here.
I think, my friend, this is an example of where there's elements to consider. There's intangibles, of course, that we always like to talk about. Judging on the experience and thinking about everything that comes into this moment. I think I'm going to go with Modelo. I think Modelo is what like is bringing everything to the plate. It's bringing the richness. Is bringing in this experience. Modelo is the winner for me there on the overall. What do you think?
Wow, wasn't expecting that. You took a little turn on your overall there.
See.
It's tough because you know what? I really love Stella on draft. I've had Modelo on draft. It's very good as well. I think Stella really shines the most on draft. So I think as an overall beer experience, I'm going to go with the Modelo as well, my friend. I just think it's a little bit more consistent in its characteristics all the way through from beginning to end. It just offers a little bit more of an interesting character there. We have a winner, my friend. In this epic of Pilsner beer battles, the Cerveza Modelo Especial comes out on top over the Belgian brewed Stella Artois. Right, let us know down below. Are there any other beer battles you'd like to see us do? Post them in the comments down below. If Alessandro and I can both get them where we are, we will do that versus battle at one point down the line. And as always, thank you so much for joining us in this Beer Brackets pub. We hope you had a good time. Get a beer along with us. And cheers.
No matter what, don't forget
to close those beer brackets.
Never forget.
Open with a Modelo. Close with a Stella. Why not? Cheers. Everybody.